I mean, if you didn't understand anything from that speech, I didn't either. You know, the sound quality is so diabolical. And I think this is also part of the, why it's also an artistic failure. You know, and there's an opportunity for a retake when you're dealing with something that's live, which can have potentially exciting results, but it can also be a catastrophe in that you can't hear what's being said in this important speech. I also wanted to show you that clip so you've got a sense of Pharaoh Man as the right-wing mayor, how they attempted to portray that, and whether you thought that was convincing or not, and also the use of the masses, yeah, especially the children with dirty faces, which is curious in the film because only children have dirty faces. The adults all seem to be clean. But anyway, so I'm just going to move on from that. I'll come back to it in a minute. So a fruitful comparison could be made between the Margate Exodus, which was initiated by a curatorial team and a politician, and Please Love Austria, a project devised and largely performed by the German filmmaker and artist Christoph Schlingensief. I don't know how well known this project is here. Certainly in an Anglophone world, it's not very well known at all. This project was commissioned by the Wiener Festwochen in 2000, and Schlingensief chose to respond directly to the recent electoral success of the far-right National Party led by Jörg Haider, the FPO. So the FPO's campaign had included overtly xenophobic slogans and the word Überfremdung, last employed by the Nazis to describe a country overrun with foreigners. Schlingensief erected a shipping container outside the Opera House in the centre of Vienna, topped with a large banner bearing the phrase Ausländerhaus, foreigners out. Inside the container, living accommodation was installed for a group of asylum seekers, real asylum seekers. Their activities were broadcast through the internet television station, webfreetv.com, and via this station, viewers could vote daily for the ejection of their least favourite refugee. Yeah? So it's deliberately spoofing Big Brother. At 8 PM each day, for 6 days, the two most unpopular inhabitants were sent back to a deportation centre outside Vienna. The winner could look forward to a cash prize and the prospect, depending on the availability of volunteers, of Austrian citizenship through marriage. The event is documented by the Austrian filmmaker Paul Poet in a 90-minute film, Ausländerhaus, Schlingensief's Container, from 2002. Please Love Austria is typical of Schlingensief's work in its desire to antagonise the public and stage provocation. In the 1990s, he began making interventions in public space, including the formation of a political party, Chance 2000, aimed at the unemployed, disabled and other recipients of welfare, based around the slogan, vote for yourself. In Chance 2000, Schlingensief didn't hesitate to use the image of his family of collaborators, these guys here on the left, many of whom have mental and or physical handicaps. By contrast, in Please Love Austria, his participants are barely visible and are disguised in wigs, hats and sunglasses. Oh, I'm trying to finish that. Okay, but maybe this. You can see that when they're being evicted, it's actually the complete antithesis of Big Brother, where, which is an opportunity to have your photo taken. Here they leave with their heads covered, or they're wearing wigs and sunglasses. In the square, the public had only limited visibility of the asylum seekers. The bulk of the performance was undertaken by Schlingensief himself, installed beneath the Foreigners Out banner, and speaking through a megaphone, where he incited the FPO to come and remove the banner, which they didn't. He encouraged tourists to take photos of it and show their families and friends what Austria thinks of its immigrants, invited the public to air their views, and parroted back the most racist opinions and insults back to them via the megaphone. As the various figures were evicted, Schlingensief provided a running commentary to the crowds below. It's a black man again! Once again, Austria has evicted a darkie. Although in retrospect, and particularly in Poet's film, it's evident that the work was a critique of xenophobia and its institutions, in Vienna, the event, and Schlingensief's charismatic role as circus master, was ambiguous enough to receive approval and condemnation from all sides of the political spectrum. This elderly right-wing gentleman covered in medals at the top was absolutely gleeful to find a project that was in sync with his own political opinions, while others claimed that by making such a spectacle, Schlingensief himself was a dirty foreigner who ought to be deported. Left-wing student activists attempted to sabotage the container and liberate the refugees, thereby subjecting them to even more danger, while certain left-wing celebrities showed up in support of the project, including Daniel Cohn-Bendit, a key figure from late '68, and the laureate author Elfriede Jelinek, who wrote a puppet play with the asylum seekers, making obvious their political status as puppets. So Schlingensief's intervention was potent, precisely in its ability to scramble pre-existing political positions and throw all of them open to question. One elderly woman was so infuriated by the project, actually this woman here, that she could only spit at Schlingensief, "You artist!" This was the only remaining insult available to her. The container prompted heated arguments and discussion in the square surrounding it, in the newspapers and on national television. What seems so surprising is that container caused more agitation and distress than the presence of a real detention centre a few miles outside Vienna. Sylvia Jestrovich has explained this preference for the performance of asylum rather than its reality by way of reference to the Feuerbach citation that opens Divorce Society the Spectacle, in which she writes, "But certainly for the present age, which prefers the sign to the thing signified, the copy to the original, representation to reality, the appearance to essence, illusion only is sacred, truth profane," end quote. Of course, the construction of such a forceful image is precisely what makes Please Love Austria as a project so strong. Schlingensief manipulates spectacle in other ways too. Paul Poet's film includes footage of Schlingensief appearing on a news discussion programme, where he speaks incessantly over the other guests, imploding the programme's pretensions to political analysis and replacing it with a cacophony that is in equal measure hilarious and completely destructive, refusing polite debate in favour of its deadpan implosion. I'm going to show you this sequence, and I think something that fascinates me in this sequence that follows is the tone between the discussion in the square and the tone on television. So in the square, people are really violently passionate, especially this woman in the bottom right-hand corner. And Schlingensief kind of has an ironic distance, a smile upon his face. Whereas on the television programme, where he's faced with real politicians, they are the ones smiling with ironic distance towards him, and he becomes deadly serious. But the clip I'm going to show you opens with, it's too complicated to find the exact moment, so I'm afraid it opens with 2 minutes of Peter Sloterdijk talking, but try and sit through it. Okay, can we have the next